Hi, I'm Ted Flanagan, and welcome to EcoMotion Conversations. We're on location in San Pedro, California. The purpose of this podcast series is to meet and converse with really interesting people. I call them green thinkers. The podcast fits nicely into EcoMotion's mission of the cost-effective greening of cities, corporations, and campuses. This is one heck of a cost-effective installation. We're going to hear a lot about it. EcoMotion Conversations are podcasts that challenge us. They inspire us. They're intended to motivate all of us. And I know that John Port, founder and CEO of Perma Solar, will certainly do that. John Port is an entrepreneur extraordinaire. He considers himself a sustainability designer and planner. John, welcome to the podcast. Tell us where the heck we are.
It's a pleasure to be here in the lovely city of Los Angeles at the entrance to the Port of Los Angeles.
And right now we're on a rooftop that you know quite a bit about.
Yeah, we're on the world's largest solar rooftop. We got a view to the ships in the harbor on the one side. It's 2,000. The largest roof in this complex is 2,000 feet long, and on the other side, we got a great view of Palos Verdes.
And of course, over here we've got an oil refinery, which stands in stark contrast to the clean energy future that you've dedicated your career to.
That's right. This is, we think, I hope this is a major step in getting us beyond fossil fuels.
Excellent, excellent. So let's back up before we talk about this project in some more detail. There's lots of exciting aspects about this project, but let's back up and talk a little bit about you. You grew up in Los Angeles. Tell us about, just as a snapshot or two, what was your upbringing like in LA?
Kind of normal.
Normal.
I grew up in Santa Monica Canyon, went in the Palisades. Grew up surfing, riding my bike everywhere from probably a very young age. Things that we don't let kids do now, for some reason, and
sure.
And watching the environment around us rapidly develop.
Yeah. Was it the water quality in the when you were surfing that really triggered your passion for environmentalism, or was it the pollution in LA, or a combination of all that? Or
so I came about this kind of from an urban planning perspective and sustainable development. I think I always felt that as a surfer, we always want to treat the environment properly. We all grew up with dirty water, sewage leaks, heavy smog at times at the beach, but heavy smog throughout LA, which is we've seen some great changes now. Of course, the smog's cleared quite a bit. We still have water pollution that's cleaning up. But I think that's made me very sensitive and very aware of the environment, the rapid development, the congestion, the sensitivity to building materials that are causing global warming. And then, of course, 2 degrees in planning and sustainable development, it made sense to use that education to do something good.
Yeah, yeah. And then before we get to college, high school was surfing, girls. What was the focus?
I'd love to say it was mostly girls, but it was mostly surfing.
Very good. And then
a lot of surfing.
Yeah, a surfer dude, I know. You can go to your website and see pictures of you surfing. And actually, there's I think you surfed the long waves in Peru, or didn't you do that fairly recently?
Last 5 years, I did on my bucket list. I went to Chicama. It's the longest wave in the world. It's 1.5 miles. You can only, at the time I was there, make it 1 mile. And it was quite exhilarating.
And that's off the Peruvian coast?
Off the Peruvian coast, yeah. We got it about 6 to 10 feet, mile. We'd surf 1.5 miles, but after 1 mile, there was a 30-foot section we couldn't quite make it through, so we'd have to catch another one for the next section. It's quite fun.
That sounds it.
Quite amazing.
Right. So then college. I know you were at Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, and that was all about urban planning and design. You wanted to take what you'd seen as a kid in LA, you wanted to make it better.
Yeah, I took a 3-year break after starting at UCLA early. I went to college early, graduated high school early, went to college early. Got pretty bored at UCLA, but it was a great school, it just wasn't at Cal Poly. Wound up 3 years later at Cal Poly in urban planning. Thought it was just amazing to learn about how you can really think 40 years into the future, decide your actions now, and sort of move towards that. Yeah. It was a great process of learning, great school too.
But then, was that where you developed the Perma theory, or was that Or was that over in New Zealand that you sort of drilled deeper into how to redesign society?
So because I took 3 years off and went sailing and surfing and all the other stuff, I had to catch up. So I went straight through, and then I did an exchange while at Cal Poly in New Zealand at Massey University for a year. And then when I graduated, I went back and I did a graduate degree at Auckland University in sustainable, we call it sustainable development, they call it sustainable living settlements. And that's where I started the permacity theory, which comes from permaculture, about how everyone knows what permaculture is, how you kind of live in harmony and grow with the land, and really the city. And there was other garden city theory, and there was Doxiadis, the theory of acoustics, other great thinkers well before our time that had really tried to think through the linkages of just how do we react as human beings, how do we work together, or how do we live together to create better places to live. And so permacity just means very simply permanent city. Permacity means permanent city. It's an evolving permanent city.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about permaculture. Because that term seems like something that's sort of gone away in the world of sustainability for some reason. But when I was at New Alchemy Institute 30-something years ago, we had a whole permaculture program, and it was largely about growing edible landscapes, fruit trees, nut trees, things like that. But your view of permaculture, as you defined it just a second ago, or a few minutes ago, is quite a bit broader. It's the complete sort of ecology. It's not just the plants and the trees. It's transportation systems, energy systems. Is that right? Is that your view?
Well, so go back to the three major drivers. So the garden city theory was turn of the century. They tried to build cities after it. There, these round cities where it was before really the automobile got large, where you can walk. At that time, there's horrible housing problems, lack of air quality inside the houses. Heating and stuff was being produced through coal that was choking people. And that was the problem then, and we don't really know about that anymore. Okay, so that was here and gone. The theory of acoustics, I'm not sure when that was there or gone. It was some brilliant Greek thinker who just defined how human settlements emerge and boundaries. What are the boundary levels? And then when you go to permaculture, yeah, it was really big at one time, and it was about that. But I mean, in sort of permacity it's the spirit of that. It's where it's really how do you start with the location, and how does it evolve sustainably? You have to be permanent to be sustainable. Otherwise, you're always under threat. So it's the same spirit. It's and things come and go, but permacity just means that it's just sort of an understanding.
Yeah. And when did you then hone in on solar? I mean, I know you formed this company in 2003, so 13 years ago. But was it right after the college that you went directly in? You sort of said, within this world of permaculture and this need to transform society, this is the niche that I'm going to. How did that come about?
No, I was a frustrated, lost person.
Me too.
Okay, good. Like most of us, right? So after college, I was a lucky, frustrated, lost person.
Yeah.
After college, I came back here, and I got my first job at Economics Research Associates. They're known for Disneyland, master plan communities. And for 3 years, and we did the high-speed rail that just got approved. I was one of the economists on the high-speed rail. And I learned a lot about really the fundamentals of drivers in the economics and analysis of how things get done. So I was very thankful for them for giving me a job. It was during the recession, not many people got jobs. And they gave me a great job and great Ocean View office. And I really learned a lot from I had the opportunity to work with a lot of all the senior execs there. And it was just an amazing learning experience for 3 years. Then I went into real estate development, but I really knocked my head on the wall because it wasn't sustainable. And I'm like, I kept thinking, why did I go to college and study sustainable development? Why am I an urban planner to just do things I really don't believe in? So it was a very big conflict. So there was no really place for me to go. And then I went into high tech. I said, well, tech's got to change the world. I had a good mentor of mine, a great friend, and he was running a tech company, and I consulted with them, and we did all sorts of great things in optics. It was really fun to help their market, but of course that wasn't me. And then while I was doing that, we had the energy recession where Southern California Edison almost went bankrupt. And I was sitting with a couple of people. I said, well, let's just go buy the biomass and sell it to a few big customers, because Edison, there's no market for it. And so we ended up with a pretty good company. It wasn't sustainable because, of course, Edison wanted all the power back, and it just wasn't really a model. It was an early model, but through that I wanted to start solar, and especially when I saw that LA City really got my attention when they had up to an 85% rebate, and and I said, great, I'll just start my own solar company, fully dedicated, and use that rebate and grow with this technology. So we built the first freestanding system in Los Angeles in the end of 2003. It's on Earth Island Natural Foods. The inverter's never gone down in 13 years. It's amazing. The people there were amazing. They became really, I consider them just spiritually good friends. And they had gone through their own walk in growing their business, which is now just an amazing business as well. And then since then, it's all really grown. Perma City's been dedicated to the rooftop, to solving the problems on the rooftops. We felt if we could solve the problems on the rooftops, solar will go on the rooftops. So I'm kind of steering it to where we are now.
But now you're talking more commercial than residential. You started residential, didn't you? Or
commercial, but we had to do residential because there's no commercial market.
I see.
Right. So my passion has always been in the flat commercial rooftop, because the volume, if you solve at the commercial level, I believe that 60% of our power will be generated what I call in basin, in network, where we live, as opposed to not where we live. We have a lot of
zero net energy, as opposed to buying out and then buying solar from the desert or wind from the desert or from far away.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the Perma City theory. So in the Perma City theory, I got to write a theory because I took one less class and I got to graduate pretty quickly. I thought that was pretty neat, right? Just stay up a little later at night, write a mini. And so the guidelines that I learned in graduate school said, if you can find a technology, pick a technology, and you're sure it's a technology driver, that it'll change the pattern of human settlement around you. And so that's what I saw, and that's why I do commercial rooftops, is because it really fits with everything I've learned and studied.
Yeah. And then was it the Costco work that really, was that when Perma City really took off in scale? Or?
So Perma City first built the largest freestanding system, which was 112 for Earth Island. Then we built another one.
When you say freestanding,
it was an early version that the building code won't let you do now. It had a way of working like an aircraft wing, and it would not let the panels get airborne.
But it was on a rooftop.
It was on a rooftop. The system still exists today, and it's
it was a net metered. It's a net metered system.
It's a net metered system.
It's just that was where you said freestanding. That was the racking.
The racking, yeah.
System,
the racking was the racking.
You really have become, you built your reputation on racking of solar panels.
We do, because what happens is we've seen other people's innovations, and none of them, they either didn't work from a building code perspective or they didn't work from a cost perspective. So Perma City, through the great training of the city of Los Angeles, because city of Los Angeles is a great people are very smart here. We have very strict building codes. Again, we have smart people that interpret building codes in I would say in very appropriate ways. It forced us to come out with something that worked for was safe for an earthquake point of view, yet was also freestanding from an owner's point of view. The reason why the freestanding is important is no one wants the thousands of roof penetrations if they can avoid it.
Yeah.
People worry about roof leaks.
Yeah. With Costco.
Oh, going back to Costco.
Yeah.
Right.
You took me up on one of the Costco roofs, I think in Culver City.
Right.
And they had all these. They have a standing seam roof. That's their standard roof. And you invented you have a patented little foot that clamps on, like that. That clamps on.
So that's the evolution of the Costco patent. Yeah, we had a patent issued on Costco, would allowed us to go onto a standing seam roof and clip to it without rails, made it very fast, efficient, with very little waste, and very labor friendly. So yeah, that did. We did 30 Costcos. They're a great client. I learned a lot from them. And great people to work for.
And so you get an even better discount when you go in Costco. You just say, "Hey, I'm the solar guy," and
I tried that, yeah.
I'm a friend of who's the founder of Costco.
They said we're already discounted, full price, please.
But it was Costco that got you going with patents, with racking systems, and that's really what's led us here to the solar strap, which is an awesome invention. And I remember Joe Desmond saying, who was a former CEC president, saying, this could transform commercial rooftop solar installations in America and maybe even around the world. How much does it save on a conventional system, or how do you define the benefit of the solar strap? I understand it's freestanding, no penetrations, but in terms of we're watching all these guys install, it's fast. What's the benefit of solar strap?
Well, it's consistency, right? So the problem is we have areas with high winds, low winds, earthquakes, roofs tilt in all sorts of directions, different roof materials. There's just too many variations on a roof. So we needed, on a flat roof, we just needed something that could address all those issues, marine grade, non-marine grade. So Solar Strap was created to address all those issues.
Just to come up with one product that you could use universally in any location, so you don't have to modify this if you move inland or if you're in a higher wind area or anything.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's officially, so we've actually gone to the extent, we've not only does it have UL certification, but it has an ICC test criteria that we have that will soon have its own ICC number, which means it really has its own building code. So yeah, you can go anywhere with it, build anywhere with it.
And how long did it take you to get this product accepted by building officials? And I guess building owners are probably easier than building officials, but was that a 5-year evolution here?
I don't think I've ever stopped to think about that, and we just do it. Well, I think that the standards are very high. We had to get our own ICC number and commit to that. It's a very long process. And then we learned by going through ICC that they're not any easier than the building department. I mean, there's a safety factor minimum safety factor of 5. I mean, everything here has to be 5 times stronger than what it needs to be to comply with that test criteria.
Yeah.
Actually, the Solar Strap attachment is so strong, it's usually 10 times or more. So one of the big problems was that we've always had is working with ballast is, in addition, we're actually sitting on a roof made of 2x4s and 1/2-inch OSB, springy, right?
Yeah.
It can't handle the extra weight, so we would get to roofs and it couldn't handle the weight, so we needed to create a system of that nature, but it has to also be really strong from wind loading, thermal expansion. There's just a lot of moving parts, and the Solar Strap, through years and years of experience, addresses that, and it's gone through all the testing and certification to make it acceptable in the building departments.
Right.
The city of LA, I have to say, was very helpful because they were so strict on what they wanted to see, and they guided us to say, this is what we need.
This is what you need,
and
if you can fulfill that requirement, you got it.
And it's just sort of like a yes sir, and then we find like we're the only one to ever do that.
Yeah.
From a commercial roof system.
And your goal, John, as you've told me before, is not for Perma City to be the only installer of Solar Strap. In fact, you'd like to sell Solar Strap to solar companies all over the country.
So yeah, right now we have a pretty large capacity in our fabrication facilities that are in Los Angeles and Los Angeles County. We have 2 of them going right now, and they're pretty much working nonstop. I offered when we won the Fit 50 with the late Son Edison company, who now had to be replaced halfway through. Challenges of solar, of course. Project's still here. The competitor, I offered to help them with their projects, and they actually eventually took me up on it. So all of the projects at the port through one of my largest competitors, and now another large project, about 7 megawatts of roof, are all being done with Solar Strap. They are now so my largest competitor is now our largest customer, and we're working together. And Perma City really believes in that collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have we still not even officially in our launch phase, but we do have about 10 customers ordering many systems. They like it, and they keep reordering. As you noted, the labor is fast, the simplicity is there, and it's very easy to use.
A lot of things come together. What do you think of, like when you wake up in the morning, you think about this job? What excites you most about it? I know that there's a lot of elements, but is it just the sheer magnitude that you've just seen yourself get to this point, or is it the use of vets, or is it local manufacture? What is it? All those things combined? It seems like it's an elegant in its and how it all comes together.
Oh, so I'm going to go back to my education.
Okay.
So I have a degree in science and a degree in city and regional planning, and I have a graduate degree in sustainable development. So I don't think I would go to that extent and have those degrees if I wasn't really committed to the things that it really stands for. So if we break that down, of course the environment is number one. But social justice is also very high, pretty much next to that. Because if it doesn't do you any good to protect the environment if you don't have, let's call it, if you don't socially include people. So I'm very proud of this job, and again, this isn't the first time we tried, but this is, I think we've really succeeded here, is we have 60 vets, young vets who have returned from serving our country, who now have careers in solar. And I'm very excited when I talk to them, is because they all come back with the GI Bill and they can still do their education. So they not only have great pay and a career, they can decide, do I want to become an engineer? Do I want to become a project manager? Do I want to do something else? This is really giving, socially including, giving hope to people who really had a hard time finding a job.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's about. As we recreate our world in a sustainable way, it becomes important. Yeah, there was one thing that you mentioned before when we were back. I forgot to tell you that the Perma view on capital, right? So the Perma I was able to break down, get an understanding, my understanding, and it's how we think, is you have capital, and we called it earth capital, that's the resources. And by and large, for the last 2,000 years, humans have been fighting over resources. Yeah. Because we know if we control resources, we become very wealthy. Often at the expense of something else, but again, it's a very easy way to become wealthy. Then you have human capital, that's where you control a lot of human beings, and of course you can become fairly wealthy. You have individual capital, that's we get up in the morning, we make our contribution. And so I really like to set up a system where, in our company, where people can really pull their individual capital, those people coming to work. Do they want to start their own company? Can we supply them solar strap? Can they be? So a lot of the people who used to work for me are now my customers, my early customers, and I'm really proud of them. They may not, I mean, it's hard to build jobs this big. They may, I'd be happy for that. But they're building they're also building jobs, and they're doing really well for themselves.
Yeah.
So I really that really motivates me, the fact that we can build a better world, and that we can find a way to work together and give people, and if we give people amazing opportunities and hope, I think we'll be surprised on where our evolution as a species go, right? Yeah. Where do we go as humans? I think there's a lot of things left to explore.
So you've covered sort of some of the environmental benefits, some of the social benefits, and then in terms of the economic benefits, this is an incredible win-win-win right here. Everybody, you got local jobs going on, local manufacturer going on. The owner of this facility is getting a brand new roof and getting lease payments. The project is being financed. People are making money. This is a very cost-effective installation, isn't it?
Well, so the technology has allowed us to satisfy everyone, right? The workers get high pay. The owner gets a new roof. They get rents. The city gets the power. So thankfully, the technology is at a point with a technology advantage. Even though there's been very limited success on the feed-in tariff program, we intend to change that, share our technology, and help everyone succeed. So yeah, it's really nice. It's nice that we have room for that.
Yeah.
I'm very motivated by that, and we think that's a very healthy place to be. And everyone in this project has been fantastic. The landowner, fantastic. People, the unions, fantastic. Everyone, I can't say this is really a dream come true to be able to be in a leadership role on this project.
Yeah, well, congratulations on that. I mean, you are the guy that's pulled all these pieces together and created that win-win-win-win situation. You know, what are some of your favorite statistics for this project?
Well, there's a couple buzz points that I always tell people. I'm going to give you the global view. It's 16.5 megawatts total. That's just big.
Yeah.
For a roof. It puts out 45% more power during the lifetime than standard modules, because we're using extremely high quality, high powered bifacial modules.
Yeah.
Right. And so not only is it big, it's powerful. The last one, we just got to go back again. It's waterproof. you got over, let's say you got, I can't remember the exact number of modules, but let's just say you got like 40, let's just round it, say 50,000 modules on the roof.
Yeah.
Now, normal systems would need about 2 holes per module. That's 100,000 holes. There's not one hole in the roof, and of course I said we're sitting on 2x4s. the weight of this system is less than 2 pounds per square foot. So I think those are the most important things. It's big, it's powerful, it's waterproof, and it's lightweight.
And we're not talking square feet
Oh,
anymore.
I'm sorry.
We're talking acreage.
Oh,
we're
we're
not talking 1 or 2 acres.
Yeah, we're sitting on the roof. The roof is 1.9 million square feet. We always round it up to 2 for easiness. But you're looking at a 100-acre complex. And so people are coming to me like, I got 12 acres. Can I build a utility? I'm like, well, that's not that big because we're building a 100-acre roof. You know.
And how many people are on site? Are workers? And I guess you got some groups that are putting down the new roofing. That's probably subcontracted separately. I would imagine. Then you've got all the companies doing the solar installation.
Well, let me give you the major construction partners.
Okay.
So partner number 1 is Clark Roofing, great roofing company. Mm-hmm. They do a lot of industrial roofs. They're replacing all the roofs. Partner number 2 is Leaders Solar.
Yeah.
Leaders is the one that we actually sponsor them. It's not my company, but I sponsor them to start the company so that we can give the veterans an opportunity, mm-hmm. and that we can take care of the veterans, the union, all that stuff. And they're just doing a fantastic job. Partner number 3 is Baker Electric. They're one of the leading electrical and solar contractors. Yep. And of course they're a large union shop. They're really able to manage that manpower we need. And partner number 4 is PDE. They are the leading, I call them the leading high voltage union subcontractor. And they're also the battery experts. So we're very excited to work with them because not only are they just so amazing at what they do, but they're also the battery leader. And again, of course, it's obvious to see that we're all moving towards batteries soon to help with the power shortages caused
capacity issues. Yeah, we Dan Henricks and Dan Cohey are buds at this point. We were over at the ETI, the Training Institute, going through their whole microgrid. Now, there's no plan for batteries here, are there?
There's no plan at this time. We're going to be looking into them for my next projects. Yeah. And what we're doing is we're studying what it means to blend batteries with the fit. And we do have some very large announcements, and of course the 2 Dans, your buds, just amazing people to work with. Yeah, I really enjoy working with them.
Yeah. And I want to sort of shift towards just your future vision. We talked about your college days and your urban planning and sustainable development sort of focus. Is this, I mean, just in terms of your future vision for energy, is it going to look like this, do you think? Are we going to have modules and racking systems, or what's solar going to look like in 10 years, 20 years? What do you think?
Well, I love science fiction, but I like to live in reality. We are sitting on 2x4s. Yeah. So carbon nanotubes aren't quite here yet. Yeah. So I think that what's important to know is, what do we actually just need to do? I think we know we have a direction where we're going, but if I waited for all the claims that we've seen come and go in our careers, right? You and I have been doing this a long time. Yeah. We wouldn't be anywhere. Yeah. So I'm very practical. We have a very practical approach to use. I mean, the solar panel industry has done a great job in driving down costs. It now costs it costs less to build this entire job than what we used to pay for one solar panel when we started. Yeah. You have to remember that. So they've already done their job in driving down costs. I think it's very elegant. We shade the roofs, we increase the environment, we use materials that are recyclable. I think for now, until someone can prove there's any kind of breakthrough, that this is the way to go. At least on the solar side, that's my vision for solar. I just don't like to take a risk on things that may or may not happen. I like to drive forward with what we can do now. And again, the industry has already driven down those costs. Yeah. If you want to know Perma City's future, what I see, well, Perma City is a permanent city, and I do say that it evolves. So let's imagine that we've powered all our rooftops. If you look around this rooftop, you really can't see it from the street, right? You might see it from the mountain. It's pretty when you look out the mountain. But it's here for 30, 40 years, and I think if we're powering the equivalent of 5,000 homes, I think that's good enough. However we decide to power inside at the least disruptive way to the environment, which is inside the urban limits, then we got to move to the next problem. So the next problem is, we have the issues water, right? And so Perma City, we got our eye on trying to look at how we both contribute to the energy needs and solve some water issues. And so we're going to start to look at that next year. We're going to have some really interesting announcements. I think we see a very practical thing. So remember, the Perma City theory says if you can see something that you know is a game, is a technology changer, meaning that it will contribute to stimulate the evolving community, we should latch on to that as long as it works. So we've latched onto our solar panels. Now we got to latch onto something that helps with the water and continue the energy. And the last issue, there's two other issues that aren't solved. One is the transit. We have just horrible transit issues in LA. Yeah. I don't know how long it took you to get here and how frustrating it was, but
I've been in my share of traffic jams, that's for sure.
So there is a practical approach coming, an interim step to the future that for the next 100 years of how we both solve transit and energy. So Perma City can see that. We're excited to try to hopefully have the opportunity, and this technology, as it becomes more successful, will give us the opportunity to keep working on that. And then the last thing is building materials. We do think the building industry is doing a really good job of quickly moving towards sustainable building materials. So I really think we have to tackle the convergence of energy and transit next.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to work on that if I have the opportunity in my lifetime.
Yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to your water ideas. That'll be fantastic. And John, just wrapping, you've got kids. How old are they now?
Oh, I got a clan.
Yeah. What do you got?
I got two boys, 15 and 18, and then we want to have a little girl, and she's 9, awesome. And then surprisingly, we had another little girl. She's 4, and she's just amazing. So I've definitely had to make sure that whatever we do is fully offset, and so the house is completely carbon offset. Yeah. Cars, heating, and power, and it's great to have kids. It's really great. It's really great to have kids.
And I would imagine they're very, very proud of their dad.
They're amazing kids, right? They're I mean, all kids are amazing.
Yeah,
but
you're showing them what one man can do, who started off as a surfer dude, if you will. And I'm sure that those days in New Zealand were very creative days. I've been there myself. It's a wonderful country, and you've woven around in your career, and here we are. I get goosebumps coming up on this roof, and I can imagine that if I were your kid, I'd be extremely proud of you, and just as a friend, I'm extremely proud of you. So congratulations on all you've done. This is fantastic.
Oh, well, thanks a lot to our kids are our teachers, right?
They sure
our kids are teaching us what they're telling us what they need to be successful. They're telling us really what the world needs. So it's nice to be able to learn from them. Yeah. But Ted, you've been a really good friend for many years and a big supporter, and I really appreciate you taking the time to interview me.
And John, thank you for being part of this podcast. This is truly inspiring to me, and I know will be inspiring to all of our listeners and all of our viewers. So thanks again.
All right, thanks, Ted.